So I want to dig into a few areas. The easy areas here were the ones where we knew we'd fallen short. For example, story was an area where we had, let's say, purposefully avoided a deep story on the first game. We definitely have characters, and we won awards for strong characterization, strong acting by our characters, but it wasn't a plot-heavy game because we're kind of introducing people to the universe. And that's something that we know in the second game that we can really push a lot further, and we have, I think, and hopefully we'll be judged well for that. Now that we've got people understanding how the game works, what the universe is, we can kind of dig a little deeper in the story. So the hard areas to analyze were the areas where we thought we were really strong. So those are the ones that I'm going to talk about with analysis here. It's not our bad areas, but our strongest areas. And people consider some of these areas for Gears of War to be industry best, or at least at the time that we shipped the game, industry best. And we're pretty well known for our technology at Epic. Co-op was very strongly figured into Gears, and we were sort of a showcase title for Xbox Live in the co-op space. Multiplayer, we were on top of Xbox Live for months and months and months. And then just core gameplay was, I think, we were really happy with that. So I'm going to talk about how we approach each of these areas, which I think is a little bit more challenging. Okay, starting with tech. Obviously, we have high expectations at Epic. We drive technology for hundreds of teams around the world, and so we have to make it really, really good. So we didn't want to think about this from a how do we make our technology better and then maybe our game benefits. We looked at it from the other perspective of what can we do with technology to make this game more fun? It can help us to achieve things that we missed the first time around in Gears 1. And how do we do that in a way that supports the themes of the game? So, for example, one of our themes is humanity's last stand. It's us against the evil locusts. When you say humanity's last stand, nobody's thinking the four of us should go deep into city streets, right? But that's exactly what Gears of War gameplay was most of the time, a four-man squad working way through narrow city streets, fighting a couple of bad guys at a time. And that was partially a technological limitation, and partially this urge, sort of our idea of what Gears is intimate violence. We want it up close and personal. You're not sniping someone far away. You're not pixel hunting on the screen. You're scared to death because an 8-foot-tall locust drone has got a big gun and you're chainsawing him to save your buddy's life. So we wanted this feeling of a massive war this time. This is something I pushed the team for really hard, that I wanted to feel D-Day in the Gears Sarah universe. And they're called the Locust Horde, but you never would experience that in the first game with tons and tons of stuff coming. So that's why we worked on a crowd system. It wasn't because, hey, wouldn't a crowd system be really cool in Gears? But it was, I want hundreds of freaking Locust drones on the screen. How do I do it? And so you'll see lots of levels. We've done a few demonstrations publicly of levels where there's hundreds of these guys. Sure, there's a lot of tricks, low detail, things like that, sharing animations. But you can shoot them all, and they'll break away and attack you, and it gives you much better feeling of lots and lots of bad guys. Similarly, with this Destroyed Beauty, you walk into this gorgeous medieval city or whatever the heck it is, Gothic, proto-Gothic, I don't know, but you didn't get to destroy it. It had already been done for you. And that's not fun. Come on, it's a shooter. So that's something that we clearly were missing the first time around. So we've added a full destructibility system to Gears, especially for cover, because you're sitting there with your nose right against a piece of cover for a lot of the game. You want it to be shredding in front of you and going, oh crap, I need to get out of here before I start being destroyed. So here's one of the levels that kind of gets across what we were doing before. Here's a multiplayer level from the first Gears, and hopefully you guys can see this. This was considered, I think, to set the bar for next generation gaming at the time we did it. Here's what we're doing this time. The amount of detail difference between these two is pretty significant between Gears 1 and Gears 2. Okay, so the statue's missing in Gears 2, but that was a purposeful choice. We've got extra foliage, a lot more detail, better post-processing effects. You're inside it, you've got distant vista, all sorts of stuff that was missing in the first one. And this is the same engine running on the same hardware just 2 years later. So we wanted to get across the field and destroy beauty, and by adding on some rendering tricks, we were able to accomplish that a little better. Another area we wanted to deal with was this never fight alone franchise goal. We've really known for this already. We felt like we'd achieved, we'll call it, success in co-op and in online play. And so we kind of thought that the best thing we could do was just make it easier for people to play. We don't own the platform. Xbox Live is run by Microsoft. There's only so much we can do there. But we could get people into it more quickly. So we added a full party system where we're using LSP servers. We've got like 18 servers all linked together with all sorts of cool stat systems and stuff. This new What's Up feature, so you can see where your buddies are and make it easier for you to invite them over to your Gears games if you want. Stop playing those other games. Right? So it's back-end technology that we're using to make it easier for people to not fight alone in our universe. So moving into co-op play. As I mentioned, this was a key area for us for Xbox Live. We kind of split the bill with a few other Microsoft titles, looking at the tentpoles of what Xbox Live was, and said this is an area where we think we can excel and we can really drive the platform. And so many people played our game cooperatively. It was the great game to play with your girlfriend or whatever else. I certainly played with my fiance through on a weekend or two. And the whole story was built around it, so that there was no, as I said, there's no two Master Chief problem or whatever. So our new analysis in the co-op area was that driving co-op vehicles was really fun, so we want to have more co-op drivable stuff. Let's drive a tank where one guy drives and one guy shoots. And instead, we ended up with monster trucks. I'm totally serious. So there's a monster truck with a tank on top, because that's like a chainsaw on a rifle, I guess. I don't know. It has to have a badass quotient of 4.3 before it's allowed to go in the game. And then also drivable reavers. Those are the cool flying, like squid-like creatures that you're fighting all the time in the first gears. We're like, let's let people ride them. Let's people ride them in co-op, so you'll have a rocket ship while the other guy's driving around the crazy squid. And that stuff all got in there. In co-op, we wanted better drop-in, drop-out co-op. We supported drop-in, drop-out, but you had to do it on chapter boundaries. And so you couldn't be stuck at a tough fight and then grab your buddy and say, hey, jump in with me, help me get through this boss. Also, extremely important for the girlfriend set, the infinite difficulty for co-op player. While my fiance is an expert gamer, not all are. And we found that we had this sort of problem where the girlfriend would be hiding behind cover waiting to be your medic when you went down. It's exciting for her. She's like, oh, shit, shit, shit. She comes up and heals you, runs back, and she feels important, and you go, yay, you saved me. And then you play some more. It's a good dynamic, but it gets old after an hour or two. So we put different difficulty levels in co-op as a result. Made the vehicles better, the ones that we did have for co-op, and also added more save slots. You could be playing through once every 2 weeks with your dad while also playing through with your girlfriend and everyone from work, and yes, you get it. Virally play Gears of War with everyone you know. And then stuff that we did that we really liked about Gears, asymmetry in co-op play areas. So that'd be areas where we'd split you purposefully and say, you take the left branch, I'll take the right branch. You get to pick as a player. They'd be totally different experiences. It gives you that reason to go play the game again. You could cover, you pick the high road and you're covering your buddy on the low road as they're advancing. And we really liked that and wanted more of it. And co-op puzzles are very popular as well, because this is completely transparent to someone who's playing the game single player. It just happens. But the co-op players, this gave you a reason to go back and play it in co-op again. And then flanking paths, again, is something where we designed levels on purpose that you didn't have to go around and flank the Troika machine gun or whatever else. But when you're playing co-op, those kind of things just sort of happen and it feels very natural. So we wanted to make sure we were doing a lot of that. All right. So that's the co-op. In multiplayer space, I mentioned that we're pretty proud of having, we took the top spot on Live over from Halo 2, I think it was. So it actually maintained top spot on Live even with the Xbox 360 being out for a year or so. But we eclipsed them, and I think we held the spot for 6 or 8 months, something like that, before the next big title came along. This area is extremely competitive. The new great thing in multiplayer is what's always keeping people moving to something. And so this is an area that was really important for us to do a deep, new, better, more analysis on. So new stuff, we wanted AI bot support. It's something that we've always done in our games before, with Unreal and everything else. You could have a great time playing a 16-on-16 match all by yourself in an Unreal tournament. But you needed a full team of 4 if you were going to go online and play 4-on-4. So we fixed that and added bots. It's a huge amount of work, but it's something that was sort of our most needed feature. We also added a bunch of cool new game types. But this was an area, again, where we kind of kept bringing back to our franchise vision. Deathmatch is fun. Every game supports deathmatch. But it's not a good fit for Gears of War because it's a bunch of dudes going around shooting each other. You don't want to play your badass anti-hero who never fights alone shooting a bunch of guys who look just like you. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit. You're not supposed to be Marcus going Marcus or whatever else. So we came up with a mode called Wingman, where you're there with your co-op buddy all the time. It's a 2-man team. You're playing against a bunch of other 2-man teams. You've got to stay together. You can split up and try to surprise people, but you can heal each other. So it doesn't make sense for you to split up too far. You want to always be covering your buddy. And that's never played alone, and that's a much better fit for Gears of War than just pure deathmatch. Another example is Capture the Flag. Every multiplayer game supports Capture the Flag. Unreal has had it since 1998 or whatever else. It's been done to death. But we kind of spun it a different way because it didn't make sense to be capturing a flag. No one cares about a flag in today's universe, but they sure care about hostages. So this is stranded, and our flags actually